Russia is facing economic sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine from dozens of countries. The sanctions target a vast range of sectors. They also target individuals, including Russian President Vladimir Putin himself, his 2 adult daughters, as well as high-level government officials and leading Russian businessmen. The sanctions have cut Russian banks out of a key financial messaging system and frozen the assets of Russia's central bank. Russian aircraft cannot take off from, fly over, or land in dozens of countries. The U.S. has banned oil and natural gas imports from Russia, while many European countries have announced plans to scale back the use of Russian energy. Import bans affect dozens of other Russian products, spanning industrial goods to high-end items. The U.S. has suspended normal trade relations with Russia, while European countries are taking similar measures. The effectiveness of sanctions is hotly debated, with both proponents and opponents citing specific cases. Proponents say sanctions helped bring Iran to the negotiating table in 2015 and to agree to limit its nuclear activities. In South Africa, decades of international sanctions played a role in ending that country's apartheid government in 1990. The use of sanctions became prominent following World War I as countries sought ways to avoid the horrors of another world war. U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt used an oil embargo in 1940 to successfully persuade Spain to remain neutral during World War II. However, just 1 year later, Roosevelt cut off Japan's ability to buy U.S. oil, with drastically different results. Japan soon afterward bombed Pearl Harbor and increased its military assault throughout Asia. Part of its objective was to acquire more oil. An economic blockade of Nazi Germany also failed to deter the plans of Adolf Hitler. Moreover, the German leader cited concerns about sanctions as a reason for his territorial conquest. A study looking at more than 170 case studies spanning a century of economic measures found sanctions were at least partially successful only about a third of the time. Failures cited by the study include Cuba, where decades of U.S. sanctions have not led to the fall of the communist government, and North Korea, which has not given up its nuclear program in the face of international sanctions. The PIIE study found that sanctions are most successful when a country's goals are modest, such as the release of political prisoners. They are much less successful when seeking regime change and democratization. And they are the least successful when trying to stop a military operation. The sanctions against Russia have caused the ruble to swing in value and inflation in the country to rise. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin acknowledged in April the situation is the most difficult in 3 decades for Russia. However, the sanctions have not so far stopped Moscow's military operation. Russia's foreign minister said in March that Russia would adjust its economy to the sanctions and that they would make the country stronger.